Joining me now is Michigan Senator and Chair of the Senate Policy and Communications Committee, Debbie Stabenow. Senator Stabenow, welcome back to the Sunday Show. Thank you for being here. I would love your reaction to Speaker Pelosi's meeting with President Zelensky this morning.
Well, first, thank you, Jonathan. It's always a pleasure to be with you. And I think that the speaker's visit and the delegation was one more really important signal, very serious signal to President Zelensky and the Ukrainians that we are with them all the way. And so we always have to start by saying it's incredible, the courage of the president and his people. And we stand with them. That's why we need this new aid package. I also have to say that I was really glad my friend Congressman Jim McGovern was there, because we work on international food issues together. And another important piece of this is the food crisis around the world that's being made even worse because Ukrainians can't plant this year. Only about 30% of what they would normally plant to help feed Europe and the world is going to be planted, and that may get anywhere. And so there's a critical urgency.
You know, at a press conference after the Zelensky meeting, Speaker Pelosi said the United States would back Ukraine and, quote, until victory is won. You are on the Budget Committee and I believe also the Finance Committee. How long will Congress support these multi-billion-dollar aid packages?
We will stand with Ukraine as long as it takes in order to protect their democracy and, by extension, the world's democracies, including our own. We're in a situation now, fortunately, where our own economy has come roaring back. The president has given us a budget that has the largest deficit reduction plan in the history, frankly, of any president, but we have a little latitude within that now to be able to do emergency spending, which is absolutely essential. And we have no choice. I mean, what Putin is doing, the atrocities, the war crimes, what I would consider to be genocide, it has to be something that we all stand up and say, no, we're going to stand with Ukraine as long as it takes.
You know, Senator Stabenow, I asked the question about Congress. Now we're going to put the focus on the American people. How long will the American people support the effort to support Ukraine? It's only a matter of time before folks start asking, if you can come up with the cash for Ukrainians, why can't you do the same for, say, mental health?
Well, I agree with the American people who say that, Jonathan. I mean, there's no reason that we can't do both. Absolutely no reason. And so we need to do what we need to do in terms of protecting democracies, the fight in Ukraine, as well as our own democracy, by the way, which is under attack. And we saw it through what happened at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. But we also have American needs that we need to address, and we are. I mean, I am thrilled. Speaking of mental health, this is the beginning of Mental Health Month. This president has proposed a stronger commitment to mental health and substance abuse addiction services stronger than any other president ever, including a restructuring of how we do community behavioral health that Senator Roy Blunt and I have been working on for years to really change what we do in the community to help people. And so can we do that? Of course we can do that. We absolutely can do that. Now we need bipartisan support to do that, just as we do with other things to move forward. But we can do that. We can pass a COVID package that prepares us for the future so that we're not in a situation when we don't have the vaccines, we don't have the therapeutics or other things we need to keep us safe here at home going forward. And part of that is also making sure that we don't see an end to summer support and year-round support in our schools that we put in place because of COVID to help our children eat healthy food. And right now, because of Mitch McConnell, those protections are going to end June 30th unless Congress acts. So I would say all we need is the will, right, Jonathan? All we need, we can do anything as Americans we want to do. We have to stand up and stand with Ukraine broadly, militarily, humanitarian assistance, making sure that people are not starving around the world because of what's happening in Ukraine. And then we can stand up for the American people and continue to move forward on so many needs here at home. There's just no reason we can't do it unless folks want to play politics.
Yeah, and there's some politics being played among Republicans, but also a couple Democrats I can think of. But we'll save that domestic conversation for another time. The last question I want to ask you about is that we've heard a rhetorical shift from the president and the rest of the administration from caution to vocally calling for a weakened Russia so it can't do anything like this, like invading Ukraine or the Baltic states or Moldova again. Do you support that position?
I think it's important that we stand together, the world community, NATO, others, democracies around the world, and do what we can to make sure that Russia can't do this again. And so do we want Putin weaker rather than stronger? Absolutely. And I think we need to stand together to put in place policies long term that can help do that.
You know, Senator, I actually can't tell time. We actually have a couple more minutes, so I'm just going to slide over into domestic politics. Now that Congress is back in session, and there are talks about the budget and about spending. You brought up a COVID aid package, but as much as the Republicans are a problem in the Senate to getting the president's priorities through, but even getting a budget through, there are a couple of Democrats in the Senate who have their own priorities, what they want to see. Is it possible for a spending plan to come out of the Senate that will get all 50 Democratic votes so that the Vice President Harris, can cast the tie-breaking vote to get it out?
Well, Jonathan, let me first start by saying that we have gotten a lot done with our 50 votes. Is that everything I want to do? No. And I would also have to say that President Biden and our slim Democratic majority inherited a mess a year ago. It always seems that the Democratic presidents create messes that have to be cleaned up, and then the Republicans just spend their time complaining we're not cleaning up their mess fast enough. So the American Rescue Plan, getting us kids safely back into school, vaccines, supporting businesses and restaurants and so on, the infrastructure bill, innovation bill, all of which we've done. This package you're talking about is also critical because we've got to tackle the costs that have come about because of inflation related to COVID. When you shut down the international economy and the American economy, we are seeing now supply chain breakdowns. We don't have the products we need. We don't have the chips we need for our vehicles and other things. But as we are rebuilding that, we're also seeing price gouging. You know, the government doesn't set gas prices, and the oil and gas companies are manipulating supply, taking advantage of things, blaming a number of things, and they're price gouging. And we're seeing price gouging in some areas of food supply and prescription drugs. And so we're tackling costs, and that's what you're talking about. And we have to tackle the climate crisis, which is looming in our face, with talk about a sense of urgency. And then I'm proud to say we have an administration, we have a Federal Trade Commission that's stepping up to focus on price gouging, which is happening every day to the American people, and we've got to stand up to that.